be talking about the book Feed by M.T. Anderson. This is a sample book project just to kind of show my students how to do this video that I've asked them to do. We're focusing on the hero's journey, so we're going to be talking about the main character of this book and what he's all about. But first, a little bit of background about the book. It's written by M.T. Anderson, who's a pretty well-known young adult / children's author. He's written a lot of different genres. This particular one is science fiction. And the book is called Feed. It's won a number of awards. It was a notable book by the New York Times, LA Times. It was a National Book Award finalist, and it's recognized by the American Library Association as one of the best books for young adults. A little bit of background information about the whole idea behind the book. It's called Feed, and the whole concept of this, it's set in the future, and in this future pretty much everybody has a feed installed in their brains. Basically, it's like an internet connection, like a smartphone that's like hooked into your brain. And so people are constantly on there doing the things that we do on our phones now, but it's like beamed into their brain, so you really can't escape it. They're messaging, they're playing games, they're watching movies, all the things that we do on our phones, but it's like they're constantly bombarded with that. And basically that's just left everybody kind of numb and stupid because they're so bombarded by all this information all the time. So the main character of this book is who we're going to be focusing on, and his name is Titus. And Titus is pretty much a regular kid in the future. He's kind of rich, and he doesn't really have a lot of cares. He goes to school, but school's kind of a joke because it's run by these companies that basically all they do is teach them how to be consumers and buy stuff and stay stupid. So they don't actually really teach them anything. And when the book starts off, that he's off on a moon trip, and they basically just like go clubbing on the moon with all of his friends, and they just party and get messed up, and just they're just very silly. He's a very very shallow person, and that all kind of changes when he meets this girl named Violet. Violet is kind of the person that gets him to grow and to start thinking a little bit differently. If you've ever heard of the book or movie 1984, it's very similar to that, in that there's this guy that's kind of like going along with things. He's part of the system, and then he meets this girl that kind of changes his mind and opens his mind a little bit. So as the story progresses, she kind of opens up his mind, and he starts to see some things that are a problem with the feed. It starts to make some people sick. There's viruses that start to infect people, so they get these lesions, these things on their skin, so that it's obviously like not good for you physically or mentally. So it's interesting how he kind of grows through the novel, because he doesn't change all that much, but he definitely changes some, and you can kind of see through his perspective how the world is really not. It's kind of like a commentary on our world now, and how technology can kind of go too far, and companies can get too far into our brains as far as advertisements and as far as influencing the way we think. Okay, so for this next section, I'm actually going to pick out a couple of selections from the book that kind of give you insight into Titus's character and tell you a little bit about him and the world that he's living in. The first section, this is when he's talking about the feed and what it does for him. But the braggiest thing about the feed, the thing that made it really big, is that it knows everything you want and hope for, sometimes before you even know what those things are. It can tell you how to get them and help you make buying decisions that are hard. Everything we think and feel is taken on by the corporations, mainly by data ones like FeedLink and OnFeed and American Feedware, and they make a special profile, one that's just key to you, and they give it to their branch companies or other companies buy them, and they can get you to know what it is we need, so that all you have to do is want something, and there's a chance it will be yours. So that kind of goes along with a lot of the themes of the book about how it's all these companies just have access to this information that's inside these people's heads, and it's just like makes them total consumers, just like, oh, I see that in my brain, now I want that, I'm going to buy that. And Titus definitely goes along with that towards most of the book, but by the end, after he's been hanging out with this girl Violet for a while, he starts to change a little bit. And I want you to read you the very end. This is when Violet, the girl that he has kind of fallen for, that Titus has kind of fallen for, she's gotten sick because of her feed is malfunctioning and it's going kind of crazy. So this is the very end of the book, and it kind of gives you a brief summary of their whole relationship and what happened to them. And at this point, she's sick. She's like in the hospital. She's dying. I cried, sitting by her bed, and I told her the story of us. It's about the feed, I said. It's about this meg-normal guy who doesn't think about anything until one wacky day and when he meets a dissident with a heart of gold. I said, set against the backdrop of America and its final days, it's the high-spirited story of their love together. It's laugh-out-loud funny, really heartwarming, and a visual feast. I picked up her hand and held it to my lips. I whispered to her fingers. Together, the two crazy kids grow, have madcap escapades, and learn an important lesson about love. They learn to resist the feed. Rated PG-13 for language, I whispered, and mild sexual situations. So, like I said, as the novel goes, he kind of grows a little bit as a person. He kind of learns that the feed is not such a great thing, and it kind of goes along with the author's message about we need to be careful about technology and letting corporations and companies have too much access to us and become too much of just consumers. So anyway, very interesting book. If you'd like to check it out, I'd highly recommend it. But again, there is a lot of language in here that some parents might find objectionable. So parents probably want to check this one out before you have your kids read it.